Hey guys, it's Dangrel Gaming here, and today we will be looking at multiple methods to farm bronze in MoP Remix. Now, I've tested out 6 different methods and I will go over the good and the bad of each one. Some of them are really bad, some of them are good, but I will go over them all and kind of discuss what the hourly rates are looking like. For this, I have not used any help, I have not used any second accounts, which we'll get to a little bit later. I've just logged in on my characters and have done these methods in order to obtain this bronze. Now, I do have a max geared character, which I'll call out when I've used my max geared character. I've also used some of my lower geared characters just to reflect that a bit as well, but I will dive into that when we go over each of the methods on their own. So before we start, I've done every method for 1 hour and kind of taken note of the rates of bronze, threads, and in some cases the gems as well. We will go over all these 3 metrics to decide which one is actually the best. To start off with the absolute worst one, and this will come to no surprise at all, and I'm hoping Blizzard will buff this method, is questing. So I still had some quests to do on my main, so I decided I would do 1 hour of questing on my main character, which is fully geared 476. It was terrible. You don't get much bronze, you get your caches at the end of the quests, which again don't give much bronze, you don't get any bonus rewards for being at max level for bronze. So all in all, it was quite terrible. Now, I don't really have much to explain about questing, everybody knows what to do. You pick up a quest, you do your quest, you hand it in, and you get some of the rewards. As for the hourly rate, in 1 hour I got 5,932 bronze and about 1,300 threads, which is the worst method that I've farmed out of all of these. Now, it doesn't come to a surprise to anyone, so let's quickly skip on to the second method. So the second method I've done is flying through orbs. Obviously, you know, when you're flying around dragon flying, you can have these little orbs, and if you fly through them, you get some bronze, and in some cases you get some threads as well. I've done this on a lower level character and on a higher level character. My lower level character, I mainly did it because that's my solo account, and the orbs is actually the only way you can get bronze and threads without leveling your character, without gaining any experience, and I wanted him to be at the lower level so that scaling doesn't catch up. I felt like I needed a little bit more player power, so I thought if I fly through some of these, I'll get some more threads and my character will get stronger on a lower level. As you may or may not know, the bronze of these orbs do scale with your level. So on my low level, I think it was level 28 at the time, I got about 3,500 bronze in an hour and about 100 threads, which is not very impressive. Doing it on a level 70, I got 8,268 bronze and about 1,600 threads for the hour. The main thing I've done with this method is fly around Jade Forest, because I tried the other zones didn't really do it for me, but Jade Forest was by far one of the best ones. I found most orbs, I had the least competition, and it was, for me at least, the most efficient. If you find some other good spots, it could be even better, but for me Jade Forest was the one that worked out well, and I kind of just flew around the zone in circles, as you will see on screen right now. So quite a chill method. Would it be your main method? Probably not, like the bronze is quite low, but quite good to see that you actually get quite some of it. Like if you're waiting for a group to form, you could fly around in circles, you could get some of the bronze for like 10-15 minutes and get at least more bronze than you would get by filling your time questing. And if you're forming a raid group, you can't even quest. So, you know, if you don't have anything to do, if you're waiting for something, you might as well fly through some of these orbs and gain some extra bronze. On the third worst spot, and actually this is tied with flying through orbs, is spamming heroic dungeons on a max geared character. Now, I knew this was not going to be very lucrative for bronze when I started. I took my max geared character, I just spammed heroic dungeons in my healer spec just to get fast queues, and I basically just blazed through all of the dungeons and did quite a lot of them in 1 hour. The reason I wanted to try this is because I believe that actually heroic dungeons is the best method to gain gems, which is why I also took note of the gems we got in this 1 hour of trying. So again, nothing too rocket science. Joined the queue on my max geared character, blasted through the dungeon, and went on and went on. I was a bit unlucky in this hour because I got Temple of Niao Zhao twice, which is by far the slowest dungeon with the RP and the wave style second boss. So that took me quite some time to get through twice. And I probably could have done another dungeon, maybe 2, if I didn't get those 2 dungeons. So all in all, At the end, I got the exact same amount of bronze as the flying through orbs on my max level, which is 8,268 bronze, and I got about 2,600 threads for the hour as well. Now, in that bronze calculation is also 1,400 bronze worth of gems. Each green gem scrapped gives you 10 bronze, and obviously if you convert them to a blue gem or a purple gem, you will get the amount of green gems you've put into it as bronze, basically. So a legendary gem gives you 270 bronze because you put 27 gems in it. So with that in mind, in 1 hour of doing heroic dungeons, I got 138 gems, which is 1,380 bronze. So that's included in that 8,268. But if you're just looking for the gems and you have a max level character or you're getting boosted by a twink and so on and so on, heroic dungeons is a really good method to get a bunch of gems. So on the third spot, we have leveling. Now, leveling is claimed to be the fastest method to get bronze, and I wholeheartedly agree with that if you use the second account or if you are getting boosted by a twink or one of your friends who's maxed geared, then I would believe that leveling a character is the fastest bronze per hour. Now, what I've done is I made myself a druid so I could go into tank spec, get into quick dungeons, and I just started leveling. So I did follow the method that was posted on Wowhead and on Twitter. I'll put a link to the posts below, credit to them. You go into dungeons, you don't pick up any of the experience, you just do the dungeons over and over and over again. When you get to 25, you do the raid. So I did the Mokshan Vaults at level 25. I did not pick up any of the experience. After my Mokshan Vaults, I did a couple more dungeons, but then I had to log off for the day. So the day after I came back and actually did another Mokshan Vaults. Then I leveled to level 35. Then I did Heart of Fear at level 35, which did not really go well. I think we wiped twice on Shaw of Fear at the end, which was quite sad. And then after Heart of Fear, I did 1 or 2 more dungeons to hit level 40. I think it was 41, at which point I opened my mailbox, because obviously if you don't loot the experience from the bosses, they will go into your mailbox. And the entire idea of this strategy is that you gather them all up in your mailbox, you do the raids, because every raid boss gives you 12% bonus experience on your cloak, and then at level 40 or 41, you have the most bonus experience on your cloak that you can have. And when you open your mailbox, you'll instantly pop to level 70 because all of those experiences that are in your mailbox will be scaled to your current cloak, not the cloak as to when you beat that boss. So it's a really good method to level. And all in all, it took me about 3 hours and 23 minutes to get from level 1 to 70 without any boosters, without any friends of mine helping me, without any twinks. I just queued normally on my own. I had some groups where I was lucky. I had some groups where I was less lucky. Just in general, your average experience that you can expect when you're leveling from 1 to 70 on your own. So I did it in 3 hours 23, and it total that netted me 70,000 bronze and about 4,100 threads. Now, I think threads are not really relevant here, but breaking down that 70,000 bronze, it almost comes down to about 20 to 21k bronze an hour. If you want to be leveling some characters, it's actually quite a good way to make bronze as well, even if you don't use any of the boosting methods. If you use the boosting methods, I know people get to level 70 in like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. So obviously your rates will increase if you do that. I decided to not do that just to give kind of a just like average income if you just want to play it chill, do one character, not multi-log, and do or you know, you don't have friends who could boost you through it. Slightly better for me than leveling a character was doing dailies on multiple characters. Now, what is required for this is that you have multiple level 70 or at least 60 plus characters. And in my case, I have my main, which is Biz geared. So he will do it really fast. And then I had an alt on which I did it, which was I level 300, freshly dinged 70, didn't get any gear on him, didn't do any heroics on him. I just dinged him level 70, didn't really do anything on him. So he was quite under geared for heroics. I was able to do my round of daily on both characters. So with rounds of dailies, what I mean with that is obviously the normal dungeon, heroic dungeon, normal scenario, heroic scenario, and I would do one wing of LFR, which is the first wing of Mokshan Vaults, because for me, I just think that's the fastest out of all of them. You pick up your daily quests when you start out in any of the hubs, so you've got one daily quest for 3 heroic bosses, You've got 1 daily quest for a scenario, and you've got 1 daily quest for 2 raid bosses. Each of those will give 1250 bronze, and then you will also get 1250 bronze for your first normal dungeon, first heroic dungeon, first scenario, and first heroic scenario of the day. So I would do that in one sitting, basically. So my main character, I got through all of my dailies in about 22 minutes and 43 seconds. On my second character, however, it took me about 41-42 minutes to get through them. Obviously, he was under geared. I got into a heroic group with no good geared people, so it took quite a while. I think it took about 15 to 20 minutes alone to do the heroic dungeon. Now, what does really speed this up is knowing that you can queue for multiple different things at the same time. So what I did is, as soon as I got into my character, I obviously started my timer, and I started by queuing up for a normal dungeon, a normal scenario, and my Wing of LFR. All 3 of those at the same time. So I did those 3 at the same time, and then I picked up my quests. Usually a scenario would pop first, but then while you're in the scenario, even though the other queues won't pop, your timer will still keep on going for the other queues. So by the time you get out of your scenario, you'll have been in queue for a dungeon for maybe 9 to 10 minutes, for example, and you would be in front of the queue, in front of a lot of people. So as soon as you get out, you'll usually get a dungeon pop. Then you'll do your dungeon, another 10 minutes get added onto your raid finder one, and then when you get out, you'll instantly get a raid finder pop. Most important thing, once you're done with one of the activities on normal, immediately queue for that activity on heroic, because then you'll start the timer. So if you end your scenario and your dungeon queue pops, make sure you leave the group first, then queue up for a heroic scenario, and then join your normal dungeon, so your heroic scenario queue can start rolling when you're in your dungeon and start adding that timer to it. So my first character, obviously, on my main I queued as a healer, on my alt I queued as a DPS, just to find out how the DPS queues were, and I didn't actually have to wait too long for my DPS queues. I think most of my time was spent in instances. All in all, I took a bit over an hour. I think I took 65 minutes. And in 65 minutes, I got about 23k bronze. So 22,797 bronze and 3,530 threads. It is slightly better than leveling, but only very slightly. Obviously, in this as well with your dailies, if you can speed it up and if you can do each set of dailies in like 20 to 22 minutes range, like I did on my main, you can obviously get almost a third set in there, at which you'll get about another 11k, 11.5k bronze within that hour. So at that point, it would shoot up to about 30k bronze an hour. I wanted to give a bit of a realistic view. People won't have full geared mains, but if you have a friend with a full geared main and some alts, maybe you can boost him on your main, and then he can boost you on his main, and then you can get 2 sets of dailies done quite quickly. Or you could do like me and just play the daily roulette and hope that you get some good groups. And lastly, what was the best for me, and this may come as a bit of a surprise, is raiding. And I honestly didn't think raiding was going to be the best, but I got quite some good results. Now, again, caveat here is this is on my max geared character, so I can really easily get into a group, and we can also blast the dungeons and the raids really, really fast. So I started the timer before I even started looking for a group, and my goal was to do Throne of Thunder. So I queued up for a Throne of Thunder and made my way there as soon as I could. It took about 10 minutes to form because they were doing a 450 plus group, which takes some time to form. But in the end, I was out of Throne of Thunder by about the 45-minute mark, which was quite nice. Now, why do I do Throne of Thunder, not Siege of Orgrimmar? 1, Siege has a lot of RP, and 2, Throne of Thunder is just better for raw bronze. Even Siege Mythic does not give a lot of bronze. Throne of Thunder, the main ones that give a lot of bronze is Dark Animus, Lei Shen, and Raden. Each of those give you 2 of the giant bronze orbs, so they each give 2.5k bronze. So just those 3 bosses is 7.5k bronze, and then add the 750 from all the other bosses, and you're actually on a really good track to get a lot of bronze out of that. Siege of Orgrimmar, I don't think you can get it done within the hour. Maybe you can, but the RP and bosses like Galacrest are really annoying and a lot of waste of time. So if you've only got 1 hour, you've got some gear. Throne of Thunder Heroic, definitely the best one for bronze. But as I had 15 minutes left, I actually decided to also quickly jump into a Mogushan Volts Heroic. So I did a Mogushan Volts Heroic as well on top of that. I think in the end I overran by about 2 minutes, so it took me about 62 minutes to do Throne of Thunder and Mogushan Vault's Heroic, starting from scratch with no groups prepared, and at the end of it I got about 23,700 bronze from both of those, so slightly better than doing the dailies on multiple characters. Obviously, if I was lucky on my multiple characters, I would have been faster, and I would have had more bronze on my second character. All, in conclusion, I think the 3 viable methods to get bronze, if you're just a solo player like I am, you don't want to have your friends boost you for leveling and so on, I think the 3 top methods is either leveling a character, especially a tank or a healer so you can get into queues really quickly, doing your dailies on multiple characters, and raiding Throne of Thunder and another raid on Heroic. So with that, I've given you multiple options to farm bronze, whether they're really bad or quite good, and I hope that with the hourly breakdowns and the hourly trials I've done, that it gives you a bit of an overview of what is on the table and what are the possibilities, basically. Maybe some of you, will consider upgrading your gear and doing Throne of Thunder every day to get some more bronze available to you. Or maybe you'll just get an army of alts and play roulette in the daily dungeon queues and hope that you get quite some dailies done. Anyway, these are your options. I hope you enjoy and I hope you have a lot of fun grinding out your bronze, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Bye bye.